Good morning, everyone present here. And at the outset, I'd like to thank the Bhopal Society and my Chennai Menopause Society, Dr. Pramlata Madam, for giving this opportunity. So this is like the cruel cut, the surgical menopause. I think in like in a gynec, so the maximum, the most common surgery done is a hysterectomy. So just look at this picture. So can anybody tell what is the diagnosis? So she is a 42-year-old para-2 life 2 with a severe dysmenorrhea and grade for endometriosis who is on like medical management for continuously for last 4 to 5 years and nothing is acting for her. Still with all the medical management she is having, the pain is persisting. So she came to me and this patient we planned for the surgery for a total laparoscopic hysterectomy. So in this condition, whether we'll remove the ovary or we'll keep the ovary? Can anyone from the audience? Will remove the ovary? Because it's a grade 4 endometriosis. Grade 4 endometriosis and everything is stuck and she is suffering from last almost 8 years and she was on medical management almost for 4 to 5 years she is on medical management. Patients like daily quality of life, everything has gone. So here we can able to see only the fimbrial end. Nothing else I was able to see initially when I just put, and uterus is fully, it is the POD is totally obliterated and it was a very difficult surgery. We took almost 3 hours to finish the surgery. So TLH or TLH BSO, but for this patient I did a BSO. So to like, why it is coming here? So what is surgical menopause? That means when you remove the ovaries permanently before the natural age of menopause. How it is different from the natural menopause? Because it happens sudden and so the symptoms, everything becomes severe. And symptoms, and when you do it like around 40 to 45 year, it is a yearly menopause. And if it happens before 40 year, as usual, it is a premature surgical menopause. So why, like, which cases we should need to remove it? Because we know like surgical menopause, it is very sudden, the symptoms will be severe, the onset will be very severe. So for that reason, we should be very like cautious when you do it, like you will plan to remove the ovary when you do any surgery. So either you do it like to treat the existing condition or to prevent the complication or to reduce the risk of the developing serious like some diseases associated with the patient. So in the low risk patient where you remove the ovary, sometimes with a benign ovarian tumor when like the ovary is completely repressed by the cyst, it is very difficult to do a cystectomy, those kind of conditions. And also that a tubo ovarian abscess when it is not respond to the antibiotic treatment, any adnexal torsion with necrosis, or any endometriosis, as I told, grade 4 endometriosis, these are the benign conditions. And in high risk patient, the gynecological malignancies, particularly the ovarian malignancy in the young patients, and sometimes the patient is keen for fertility, that time you do a fertility sparing surgery. But at the age of around 40, 45, when it is ovarian cancer, sometimes you have to remove based on the stage of the ovarian cancer, the bilateral oophorectomy. And also patient having the genetic risk of either it is a BRCA positive or it is a Lynch-2 syndrome. If you see like BRCA1 and BRCA2, so this is like almost 39% development of cancer, ovarian cancer in BRCA1 and BRCA2 around 11 to like around 15%. And in Lynch-2 syndrome, that is around 9 to 10% of the patients can have a ovarian cancer. So what are the positive effect of the surgical menopause? That means why you do take decision to remove the ovary. So one important is the reduced risk of ovarian cancer in the high risk woman, not in a low risk woman, but in a low risk woman, if you see in a general population, there is around 1.5% chance of developing ovarian cancer over a lifetime period. So in a low risk patient, there is no, like unless there is a strong indication to remove the ovary, so there is no positive effect. Second, it reduces the anxiety around the developing ovarian concern, like this population when there is a high risk, like they are having suppose family history of Lynch-2 or a BRCA positive, so they will be thinking of I will develop cancer, so those kind of symptoms it will reduce. And also it reduces the symptoms of persistent pelvic pain, particularly in the endometriosis or in the like PID or any like pelvic adhesions involved in the ovarian involvement, and also reduce the symptoms of premenstrual dysphoric disorder. But what are the clinical impact of why you were worried, why you were discussing today regarding this like surgical menopause? So what is the clinical impact? Because it causes a sudden onset of the menopausal symptoms which is most important, that is the vasomotor symptoms. So sudden and it becomes very severe. In that way it is different from the natural menopause. In natural menopause there is a menopausal transition and slowly the woman develops all the symptoms. But here it happens very sudden. And it is the vasomotor symptoms also, there is a sudden mood swings and depression and brain fog, and as usual the genitourinary syndromes like vaginal dryness and painful intercourse and disturbed sleep, fatigue, and long-term effect like the osteoporosis and increase more chance of fracture and susceptible to also to the cancer and metastasis in the cancer, metastasis in the bones. And in addition to that also there is a cognitive decline will be there. But one, like some studies they have seen, those patients we do a premature means surgical menopause, they are more prone for Parkinsonism in the latter part of the life. And there is an increased long-term depression and the anxiety, and of course there will be loss of fertility potential. And there are few studies, like when you remove the ovaries, like there will all cause mortality. That means there is a 2007 like nurses like a health study where they found there is a 10% increase in the mortality due to the most of the composite like medical disorders, there is a more 10% chance of mortality. So from this study, like we came to know there is a critical role of this ongoing ovarian like function even after the menopause. Like some studies I have seen, like in a menopause also till the 80 year of age, 10% of hormones that keeps on like secretion. So in that case, that will also take help of the cardiovascular health or bone health and everything. Even I'll ask one question. Whenever you do a vaginal hysterectomy for a like postmenopausal patient, how many of you remove the ovaries? None of us. Because we don't remove mostly in a menopause. When you do a prolapse surgery, we don't remove. But when you do a abdominal hysterectomy or a laparoscopic or hysterectomy in a postmenopausal patient, due to other benign conditions, still we remove the ovary most of the time after 50 year of age. So that means in a benign patient, even if after the age of the 50, there is no strong indication you should remove the ovary. Because that ovary, even if it is there, so 10% hormone it can secrete up to the age of 80 years. And there are like when you remove the ovary before the age of 45 years, so that is 1.5% more chance of developing the cardiovascular diseases in that population. And young patients who like do that same, so there is a 24% of chance of all the metabolic disorders in those patients when you remove it before 45 years. And the sexual functions, as everybody knows, the androgen is produced by the postmenopausal ovaries, and which is like contribute to the sexual desire, arousal, and the orgasm. And this bilateral oophorectomy that results in a 50% reduction of the testosterone level. And this residual ovarian estrogen that take care of the genital tissue health, reduces the vulvovaginal atrophy, and lower the urinary tract infection risks and promotes the lubrication during the sexual intercourse. So this sexual dysfunction occurs very severely once you remove it in the prematurely or in the early phase of the life. So how do you manage this surgical menopause? As usual in the natural menopause, always we tell the lifestyle modification is the first and the foremost like step in taking to the woman health. So here also same thing. So you have to first do the lifestyle modifications which can maintain the bone health, preventing the cardiovascular diseases, and also reduce the symptoms. How will you do it? Proper nutrition, that means following a balanced menopausal diet which is rich in vitamin D, calcium, and the phytoestrogens, and regular exercise that also helps like strengthening, and the exercise maintains the healthy weight, bone health, and the balance, and addiction control, particularly those who are like do regular smoking, so that they have to quit it. And also regular health checkup, where like to do all the metabolic profiles, and as usual to the bone density also we should advise all the patients whoever is attending the surgical menopause, and stress reduction and the symptoms through like alternative therapies or for menopause, and also acupuncture or aromatherapy you can do. This is very similar to the way we manage the natural menopause. And the very important is the vasomotor symptoms. So quit and bad habits which can trigger the hot flushes. So avoid consumption of alcohol, lot of coffee, and spicy food, staying hydrated all the time, that plays a very major role. Always advise the patient to take minimum 3 liters of water every day, and use a layer clothing and also cotton clothing, so that it will make the hot flushes little better. And exercise regularly, practice yoga and meditation, and use water-based lubricants during the sexual intercourse, and also avoid the saturated at the trans parts. And this is the very important thing, the psychological effect and coping with the start is like the psychological effect. So this hormonal changes is by the surgery, it lead to the mood swings. It is also happens like a vasomotor symptoms, very sudden. So it can lead to the like depression, anxiety and the irritability. So how do you tackle it? The very important is therapy and the counseling to the patient before starting any medication. So you can do some stress reduction techniques like a yoga and meditation and deep breathing techniques and regular exercise again to improve the mood and the overall well-being, and meditation if needed, and medication, and most of the times we require a family support during this time. So sometimes like in a family member, they are not able to like understand why it is happening, so you need a lot of family support. And next comes the most important is once the lifestyle modification is there, then you should start for the hormonal therapy. So this menopausal hormonal therapy, when we are doing for a like surgical menopause at 40 to 45 or before 40, after the surgery we should start unless there is any contraindication. And this should be like every 6 months to like 1 year we should follow up the patient as usual how you do in a normal menopausal transition. And also like even if for endometriosis when you do it, and even if uterus we have removed, so we should add a progesterone along with the estrogen when you do the menopausal therapy. And tibolone also can be used instead of a like suppose patient is having so much high risk factor for the development of the endometriosis particularly, either a combined like estrogen, progesterone, MST, or you can use a tibolone for those kind of patients. And this is for the genitourinary syndrome, like minimize the irritants, they can use some moisturizer and some reevaluate the therapy. And if nothing happens, like they can either lubricant or a local estrogen, like as you manage in the normal menopause, that also they can use. And psychological health, as usual, that the lifestyle modification, and sometimes also the MST also helps in the psychosocial health, like you can use as compared like as we use for the BMS. And what is the trends and concerns over the oophorectomy? I think over the past like 2 decades, there is the awareness of the like not removing the ovary. So many people, when you ask them that this is the condition, whether you want to remove or you keep, so most of the patients now, there is a trend, they always tell, you retain the ovary for us. So even for the young like population, now there is a trend not to remove the ovaries. And RCOG also recommends indirectly in a benign cases to remove the, like to reduce the ovarian cancer risks, opportunistic salpingectomy when you do a hysterectomy.
Dr. Sunita, you can summarize.
Yeah, so just over, so the FOXY guideline, you can do less than 45 to 50, concerns like conserve the ovaries, 50 plus you consider BSO, high risk cancer risk there, you can go for a oophorectomy, benign disease, just conserve the ovaries. So before doing any like this oophorectomy, so you have to think like multiple times whether it is a benign region or it is a high risk region or patient is having a family risk, and always discuss with the patient what is the pros and cons. But many times patient comes and tell, I don't want to undergo multiple surgeries. Suppose they have a multiple like previous cesarean or due to some other cases they have undergone surgery. They used to tell once you are doing hysterectomy, just remove everything. So I think we need to counsel the patient and talk to the patient. These are the pros and cons. After that, you can plan for the removal of the uterus, ovaries. Thank you so much.